Hello everyone, what's happening? You are here on the Empire with me, your resident tech and gaming guy Dave, and it is time for another video gaming review. This week I am taking a look at something a little bit different because it's a VR title. At the moment it is available for the HTC Vive or the Oculus Rift through Steam. It is called Naked Sun VR and it is developed by DoorZ Studios, who are a new VR studio. The game premise itself is that it's towards the end of World War IV, apparently, because, like 3 wouldn't have been catastrophic enough. You are some sort of angry robot commando guy being ordered by some sort of crazy British guy who thinks it needs to explain stuff to a robot, and you're being sent into Mexico City Arcology to deliver a massive EMP bomb to take out the city and apparently end the war. The game itself is a wave-based shooter, which means that you are stationary and you have two guns and bad guys come at you, and you've got things like shields, rocket launchers, and you can switch a gun between single fire and fully automatic depending on what's going on. The game itself is 3 levels long, which isn't a lot, and those levels, 2 of them take place on a tram and 1 of them takes place in an elevator, so whilst you don't move, the world does move around you. Now that's quite cool because, there are some nice flares and good touches, and it's quite cool to have some other stuff going on in the tram lines. The level design isn't really bad, it just is very short, and I mean that if you're going to play the story mode on this, you will be done in about an hour to an hour and a half. Now there is also an arcade mode and it has leaderboards and things like that, and that might be more interesting and give you a bit more playtime with it. And certainly, if you've got your mates over and you're showcasing VR to them, this is actually quite a good one because it is comfortable enough that somebody can be sat down and still get the full experience of this game. Unlike a game like Space Pirate Trainer, which I would say is probably more entertaining but far more intense in that you always have to be moving around and ducking and stuff like that. This one you can sit down in a seat and really get the most out of this game, so it is to be commended for that. Graphically and sound-wise, the game is fairly simplistic, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It appears to be a style choice as opposed to just, not investing time in textures and lighting and shadows and things. It does appear to be, as I mentioned, sort of simplistic in its approach, but it does have some cool features in some of the architecture that you move through, and some of the level design itself is quite nice. I quite enjoyed it. Audio-wise, the gun and sound effects are quite alright, but I must admit I found the audio to be quite frustrating when it came to voices and direction from your very British commanding officer, simply because the guy just didn't shut up. I mean, he was always telling me, you gotta shoot this thing to take these guys out, and you gotta do a thing, and it's a thing over there, and you can just do stuff, and it's like, well, I could have figured that out all by myself. You didn't really need to tell me. P.S. I'm a robot, and it just, the stuff's flashing anyway. You'd have been able to shoot it, you'd go, oh, hey, what's a flashy thing? Hey, I'll shoot a flashy thing. Oh, look, stuff's happened. It's, it was unnecessary. I would suggest, if you can, go into the options menu and turn the voice down, and it will probably enhance your gaming experience somewhat. Also, the dialogue that it tries to weave into this is just tacky to the point of parody. I'm going to use the word parody. There's no way it can be taking itself seriously. So, as far as a game goes, it's alright. It's not an amazing game, it's not a bad game. It is good in the right situation. To me, it feels like it's sort of doing things that other VR games were doing a few years ago. It's not a bad start. It is the first game that this company's released. I think that they can take this and build upon it and make better games in the future, or at least I certainly hope they get the opportunity to, because some parts are really well put together. The gunplay and the way the way that you have that sensation of movement whilst remaining static is quite cool. It works well in VR. That being said, I am going to give this a 6.5. It is a average game, so it gets an average score. Graphically, audio, and mechanically, it is fine, but it is incredibly short. The voices are just kind of frustrating, and it really does feel like it is the start of a thing, not the whole thing itself. So, there you have it. Another VR review done. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Of course, don't forget to like, comment, favorite, subscribe, hit the notification button, do all those things that you're meant to do on YouTube and other social media platforms these days, and stay tuned with us here on the Empire for more tech and video game reviews. As always, I have been Dave. Thank you very much. I will see you